What is going on, everybody? Zach RC here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome along to episode number 90 of the F1 Ultimate Career Series for the Monaco Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the last episode, make sure to go check that one out before you see this one. And as always, if you are new around here, then make sure to get subscribed for more future F1 content as the series continues on. So, visiting Monaco then one final time in Ultimate Career, of course, took our victory there last season. And thanks to the mandatory two-stop rule, I wanted to go back there and do one more race in this career, and the championship rivalry is now in full swing versus Max Verstappen, 9 points behind the Dutchman after our race in Imola. Last time out, need 51 points to beat him in that rivalry, of course beating Hamilton and beating Hadjar in our other two rivalries. In terms of upgrades, one durability upgrade being made here with our 700 resource points that will come in at some point down the line. 4 upgrades there in the waiting at the minute. 2 on durability and 2 on aerodynamics, but still the 4th fastest car, but close to Mercedes there as McLaren and Red Bull pull away. But McLaren, though, haven't shown up this season in terms of the car they've got. Power unit seems all fine, and the gap in the World Championship, though, 9 points to myself and Verstappen. Norris now in 3rd place, Piastri 4th, Tsunoda in P5, and of course Ferrari being jumped by McLaren last time out, and still sitting in 3rd place of Red Bull, showing the way. Well, advanced time then, and honestly, not a lot of prep to be done here. And like I say, I'm looking forward to perhaps making use of the mandatory two-stop rule in Monaco this time around. Can we try and go back to the back in the Principality? One way to find out. It's time now for qualifying.
Now, if you ask anyone who's raced here, they'll tell you, nowhere in the world is more important to get a high qualifying position than here on the windy, chicaney, challenging streets of Monaco. We're about to set the grid for tomorrow's race, but potentially for the end of the race too. So welcome along, everyone, to the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying.
So time then for the all-important qualifying session around the streets of Monte Carlo. But before we do that, we've got an electrical system fault, so I have to spend a bit of time repairing that. It's looking like wet weather all weekend here, and the full wet tyre has been recommended to us in these current conditions. Power unit all okay with the practice, no concerns there in terms of wear. And on to our first lap of a solid Monaco street circuit for the first time in Ultimate Career. Of course, every time we come here, it's been dry in the last few seasons, so unlikely to be caught out this time in full wet conditions. But let's see how we can handle the racetrack here. So up the hill, out of turn 1 and going up towards turns 2 and 3 here, because that long sweeping left-hander, lifting a lot earlier for the corner than we usually would. Perhaps try and carry a bit more speed in there in the dry conditions, but not so much in the wet. Through turn 4 and trying to avoid sliding on corner exit, very easy to do so. Over the crest there, going towards turn 5, 23.3, our first sector, a half decent start to make our way down towards the Grand Hotel hairpin down here at turn number 6, one of the slowest corners as is on the circuit. 20 miles an hour there, under 20 miles an hour for a second to go past the apex. And into the last sector now, nearing the final corner through turn 19. Purple second sector, but a poor exit out of the last corner. Can we try and put ourselves in P1 to kick things off on our first flying lap over the line? It's P1 for us, 1:29.703. Over Tsunoda, Norris, Verstappen and Antonelli there in P5. So a good start to the qualifying then on our first lap. But only just under a 10th in front of Tsunoda. So we're not actually as far in front as we might have liked to be. And of course Verstappen then jumping everyone by about 3 or 4 tenths going into the second lap. So our second set of wet tyres going on now into the last sector. Not getting much and tapping the outside wall there out of turn 16, out of the swimming pool section. Bearman there in front of us. Last few corners now. They'll try and get a lot more time going through here because of course trying to avoid tapping the inside barrier at turn 19. Verstappen's gone fastest. 1:27.6 for Verstappen. We're now 7 tenths up, 8 tenths up towards the line. It would be close for us. Can we try and get pole? P2 for us, and our hopes for a 3rd straight pole in Monaco just about come short.
With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid line up for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
So Verstappen by just under a tenth and a half then takes pole. We qualify second, Tsunoda in 3rd, Piastri 4th, and it's Norris, Gasly, Hamilton, Alonso, Antonelli and Du in your top 10. So it should be an exciting Grand Prix. Now time to head into the race.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That's how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get the critical heat into the tyres. So don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during today's Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Cohen completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Tsunoda, Piastri, Lando Norris, and Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Antonelli, Doohan, and Carlos Sainz, Albon, Behrman, Nico Hülkenberg, and Russell, Ocon, Stroll, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Liam Lawson, Bortoletto, and Isaac Hadjar rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me here today in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. Now, you're the racing driver in this partnership, so tell us about this racing driver. Put us in their shoes. How are they going to be feeling?
Well, you've got to be prepared, Crofty. Before you even step foot inside the car, you've got to know, you've got to have a pre-race game plan. You've watched videos before you get into the car of previous races gone by. You know where you have to place your car if X, Y, or Z happens in front of you or behind you. So having this clear game plan is absolutely essential before you get in the car.
No more talking then, time for action for the Monaco Grand Prix from P2 on the starting grid, and unfortunately, because it's a wet Grand Prix, the two-stop mandatory rule isn't in play here, so we have to deal with one race in the wet intermediate tyres for both stints in this Grand Prix.
Right then, the formation lap has started, and I must say the weather conditions aren't the best today for visibility and for grip. As each driver performs this lap, they'll be wanting to settle in and concentrate, as this race, in these conditions, will require a lot of focus.
So injuries for everyone on the race start, then have to be careful in terms of the rear tyres, because on this game they've been known to heat up a fair bit compared to the front, so we could be in trouble there should things work out poorly for us temperature-wise.
So as all the cars reform the grids, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
So through the last corner then, and lining up for the 7th race of the season, 9 points back from Max Verstappen, who starts from P1 today. Intermediate tyres in play, of course, so not as wet as it was in qualifying, but still wet enough to provide a nice challenge for us. Tsunoda and then P3, looking to try and help his teammate on the run towards that first corner. The two McLarens behind us. Hamilton down the order here after a grid penalty after qualifying. So work to be done for our teammate in terms of helping us in the Constructors' Championship. And look for a number of cars trying to do well today, as the last few cars take their spots at the back of the grid here. The RB and the Sauber of Hadjar and Bortoletto coming in the last two slots there. Hamilton back in P18 there, so P17. A lot of work to be done for him, but the lights now coming on for the 7th race of the season here in Monaco on our last visit to the Principality. It's lights up, foot to the floor. Go, go, go. We're racing here in Monaco. Good start from Verstappen. Better start from us, though, on the outside, going towards the first braking zone into Sainte-Devote for the first time. Verstappen, the inside line, gets in front, and a poor start for us by comparison. Could have been the race lead going through that first corner, but not to be this time round. Tsunoda in P3, Piastri P4, and Norris in P5 in the opening getaway, but couldn't just take advantage of Verstappen's slightly poorer start compared to us on that run towards the first corner. Pushing further on now towards the tunnel for the first time in this Grand Prix, down towards the braking zone, down to the hairpin at the chicane down at turn 10. Verstappen with a slightly poor exit, a better run than using overtake, going down towards turn number 10 for the first time, making a ascent to the inside there for the race lead, but going off the circuit and over the curbs. And as we're starting to wait here for a second, Verstappen to get back through and avoid getting a legal overtake. So Verstappen maintains the lead, and Tsunoda now right on our tail, going through towards turn number 12 for the first time. So Verstappen leads the way then on our first real opportunity to try to take the lead. Not quite going our way there in the opening lap. So I have to keep our eye out for an opportunity to try and close back in on Max now. I'm on to lap 4 a few laps later in the same space, going down towards turn 10. This time on Max's tail and not trying to send it from long range going into the corner, but on corner exit out of turn 11 going towards 12. A good run into the inside of Verstappen for the race lead into the left hand. If we can try and get it done on the inside on corner exit and jumping in front of the Dutchman narrowly there, shutting him out going through the chicane at 13 and 14 towards the swimming pool section, and now into the race lead with the fastest lap to boot for the first time today on lap number 4. But Verstappen are giving us pressure, and as I said about the rear tyres, they're starting to heat up already. 27% on both rear tyres on lap 7 of this thing, and we'll have to keep an eye out in terms of these tyre temperatures and tyre wear as a whole, because if we get a puncture at some point in this Grand Prix, especially if it's one of the rear tyres, we could spin out and the barriers could end our race very quickly and avoid us getting back to the pits for a new set. But Verstappen still giving us constant pressure. It's been us and Verstappen so far in this race. No doubt haven't been able to provide much challenge since that send on the first lap. But on to lap 10 now, and pushing up the hill once again towards turn 3, and we're about to fail that objective unfortunately, but not too focused in terms of the objective, but definitely want to keep an eye on those tyre wear. on the situation there, keeping that under control as we fail the objective, but we're still seeing decent lap times. But crucially, the tyres now at 42 and 41% on the rears. The fronts are all okay, no concern for them at the minute, but the tyre temperature is a lot higher on the rears than on the front.
Tyre wear's higher than we're expecting. We've got a new strategy available on your MFD if you want it.
So a new strategy then in play for us here on lap 10. In terms of the change, we're pitting 5 laps earlier onto our second set of inters than initially planned on lap 19. So keep it as it is, because truthfully, I don't think we can go 14 laps on one set and then a good 25 on the other set to the end. That would be quite a task, because Verstappen makes his challenge going into turn 10 on lap 11. A lap later, let's give him the room on the inside. Verstappen takes it. He's lost an end plate there. So has he lost that elsewhere, or is that when he's fighting us for the race lead a few laps ago? But regardless, Verstappen is in front of us, perhaps down on pace thanks to that damage, but we're still on his tail. Tsunoda in P3 still, Piastri still P4, and Norris still in P5. So the top 5 stays unchanged as we push on to lap number 15 of this race, and we are looking now.
Right, let's have you in at the end of this lap, please.
Boxing this lap for our first stop of the Grand Prix. The tyres, I'm fearing in terms of a puncture. I don't know whereabouts the puncture range is in terms of this game, as we're over 70% now on the rears as we near the end of lap 15. Still on Verstappen's tail, still putting in decent lap times, but I'm just really scared that the tyre does just pop and we lose a lot of ground as a result. It's into the pit lane then at the end of lap 15, of course, shortening our first stint by a good few laps here. So it's going to mean we've got a lot of work to do in our second stint to try and ensure that the tyres stay in condition until the end of the race. Of course, we could get lucky with a safety car perhaps at some stage, and that obviously allows us to pit onto a fresh set from there. But if that doesn't happen, because everyone's looked quite good in terms of reliability today, there's been no real concerns for anyone in this Grand Prix. As we make our way out of the pit lane here, going to be one of the last few running cars on the circuit. As Hamilton makes his way past there in the lower places. There's Liam Lawson on our outside going through towards turn 1. He'll get in front of us and will emerge from the pit lane here in P18, so only in front of Hadjar and Bortoletto. Those two not on pace on the intermediate tyres behind us. But in terms of our race now, our focus is going to try and not lose too much time behind these cars. We are clearly faster than now, being on these fresh inters. So Lawson, our first target on the run down towards turn 5 for the 16th time in this Grand Prix. Down the inside, going to try and send it if we can, tapping his back right tyre there and forcing way in on the outside, going in towards the hairpin. Once again, around the long way around the outside, going into turn 6. Contact from Lawson there. Of course, 2 into 1 doesn't always go around that hairpin. We've managed to make it work to avoid avoid too much damage to our car. And lap later, lap 17 now, Hamilton, our teammate, who's had a poor race today, is our main concern, going down in towards turn 5. Once again, this time a much cleaner move on our teammate and around the outside. Going to try and get it the hairpin. Contact there going into turn 6 as Lance Stroll sits there just in front on corner exit. Bit of contact again between myself and Lewis, but again, emerging unscathed more or less, and up another place here into P16 to enter the tunnel once again with Lance Stroll and then Nico Hülkenberg in front of us. Our target for us to try and achieve 14th position now in the next few laps or so this Grand Prix. So moving close to Stroll, going through turns 10 and 11 once again through the chicane and looking for a good exit, similar to how we got on Verstappen earlier on this Grand Prix. Making our move now to inside of Stroll, going into turn 12. We did it before, we'll do it again here, down the inside of the Aston Martin and into P15. 1 place up the target now, and Hülkenberg about a second in front as Behrman there in P13. The cars in front of us yet to pit, but of course nearing the halfway stage to make our move to the inside of Hülkenberg, going into turn number 5 and leaving squeezing a bit too much there, going into turn 6. We passed the objective, but almost wiped Hülkenberg out, so not a fantastic move there, but luckily no warning for us. So carrying on as we are in P14 now, and a lap later, again making our 4th overtake at this part of the circuit. Down the inside of Behrman for P13 here. Ocon in front of him by a few seconds, and it's Russell P11. Verstappen and Tsunoda still leading Red Bull 1-2 as it stands. Piastri in P3, Norris still in P4, and Pierre Gasly in the top 5 round, though, doing a remarkable job for the Alpine team. So continue on now towards the end of the lap, getting a warning for exceeding track limits. Made a bit of a mistake there, going over the chicane at turns 15 and 16. Verstappen in the pit lane now. Tsunoda takes the lead of the race now and going into the last corner. Can we try and get in front of Verstappen? Have we lost too much time to our championship rival down the main straight, going towards turn 1, halfway through this Grand Prix now? Where is Verstappen? Verstappen's there. We've managed to pass him going towards turn 1. Here comes Ollie Behrman as well, going towards that first corner. Max has not repaired his front wing for some reason. He's still got that missing end plate on it there, so hasn't lost too much time. But Behrman crucially gets out in front of Verstappen, and Behrman yet to stop, so that could help us massively there. That could cost Max a lot of time. So we continue on now in P7. Doing in front of us, Sainz in P5, a few cars yet to stop in this Grand Prix. So come through a lap later on lap 20 to begin lap 21 of this thing. The last few cars coming in, and Behrman has done his job holding Max at bay. It'll be a good few seconds behind us now as we reclaim the lead of the Grand Prix. Fastest lap to go with it as well, but 20% on the back left and 20 on the back right now as well. So the tyre wear is still a big concern. Let's change things up in terms of how we drive the car from here. Let's try and lift a lot more compared to going on the brakes in the corners we would normally do. So on to lap 24 now, 37% on the back left, 36 on the right, on to that 25. A peak of our advantage here. Max is now 8 seconds behind us. Tsunoda in P3, Norris now P4, and Piastri in P5. But those tyres are still spiraling here, 90 plus degrees on both of the rear tyres. Let's try and cool those down a bit more as best we can in the next few laps or so. But on to lap number 30 this Grand Prix, and both tyres are past halfway. Verstappen is now eating into our advantage. He's 4.2 seconds behind us now. That pack is closing in bit by bit. We had to adjust things in terms of how we drive to try and keep the tyres under control. On to lap 33 now. Verstappen 3.4 back, and our tyres now over 70% almost on both of them here. Back left 71. Back right is 69, and we are nearing puncture territory here. This could be a disaster into the Grand Prix. It's the ultimate gamble in one of the gambling capitals of the world in Monaco to try and get ourselves this race win for our fourth win of the season if we can do it. On to lap 37 now. Max right on our tail, 85% on the back left, back right 83. Verstappen closing out to lift all the way going into turn 10 to avoid locking up the back tyres or anything like that. Verstappen is right on our tail now. The train is all here, 6 cars behind us, or 6-car train, sorry. Got on to the last lap now of the Grand Prix, and we are at 92% on the back left here. Verstappen is on our tail. Not a lot of places to pass in Monaco, so you have to rely on a mistake from us on this last lap, which is going to be easier said than done, given how worn those back tyres are. It's a big gamble we're taking here. Will it pay off? Wide there, going through turn 3. Max saw it for a second, but sliding through turn 3, managing to maintain our advantage just. Max might get a try going down towards turn 5 if he can here. Not close enough, maintaining our little advantage for now. This time last year, we were a few seconds clear in the last lap of this Monaco Grand Prix. This time we've got 5 cars on our tail. Verstappen, Tsunoda, Norris, Piastri, and Pierre Gasly still doing remarkably for Alpine as we enter the second sector through the hairpin for the last time, going through turn 7 and down towards 8 now, in towards the tunnel for the 39th and final time. Sliding a bit on corner exit. These tyres are absolutely destroyed. The longest we've ever run tyres in terms of wear at this point of a Grand Prix. This late on, looking for a victory here in Monaco for one last time in the ultimate career. Into the hairpin we come for the final time. Sent it on the first lap. Couldn't do it on Verstappen, but in the lead now. And there it is. The back tyre, back right's gone. Puncture. And at the very last second too, the back right has gone and blown completely. And the back left is still there, still struggling. We're going to soldier on here because Verstappen can't find a way around us here. One more sector to go. We might actually still hold on for this Grand Prix victory. Max is there right behind us, waiting to pounce on any mistake and hoping and praying that back left doesn't blow. 2 corners, 1 corner to go for our second victory in Monaco. Max is there on corner exit, sliding out the last corner and charging towards the line with all our might here. Verstappen to the outside of the racetrack. It's going to be close. Only just done it. Checker flag in the air and victory by less than a 10th of a second. Glory in Monaco once again. The ultimate gamble pays off. Over the line on 3 wheels. Fantastic end to the Grand Prix there, and a terrifying one at that. The second half of that Grand Prix was insanely tough, but we've done it, and we've won in Monaco for a second time. 3 wheels over the line. What a finish.
That's it then for another nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix. We were on the edge of our seats the whole time, but they've come through to take a stunning victory.
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course, Crofty. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari.
4th victory of the season, and it remains only us and Verstappen who have won Grand Prix in 2025. That was perhaps the most terrifying end to any Grand Prix in ultimate career after 90 races overall that we've seen in quite some time. Fantastic end to it, and crossing the line again. The back right was gone, and that was the tyre that was worn less compared to the back left. The back left was more on the verge of going truthfully, but we've managed to hold on, and we survived, just about to cut Verstappen's lead to 2 points in the World Championship. We'll have a look now at the results from this Monaco Grand Prix and where that leaves us in terms of our championship chase with Max Verstappen.
And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So we win then for the 4th time this season. Max finishes 2nd, Yuki in 3rd, Norris finishes in 4th place, Piastri comes home 5th, Gasly stayed with the leaders all day there, he finishes in P6, Antonelli in P7, and it's Alonso, Sainz and Jack Doohan in the end who cap off the points paying places. 2 points then, the gap to Verstappen in the World Championship. Norris still P3, Piastri still P4 and Yuki still in P5 there, but only 2 points now, and it's shades of 2022 once again in this World Championship, and Red Bull lead now by 29 to McLaren and 33 to Ferrari. So Red Bull expand their lead then with a double podium today. But guys, that'll do it more or less for this episode of F1 Ultimate Career. Perhaps the most stressful ending to an episode we've had, but we managed to pull through and take victory. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more future F1 content. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.